Hi, it's Dot from dotstrot.com, and this afternoon I'm making a dessert for dinner tonight. We're going over to some friend's house, and they wanted to try a low-carb dessert, so I decided to make red velvet cupcakes. You can turn this certainly into a red velvet cake, but I thought it'd be good with individual servings, which is sort of how I like to do my desserts, because sometimes my eyes, as my father liked to say, my eyes get a little bit too big for my stomach. So cupcake is a nice, good, solid size for an individual. So what I have here to make them, as you can see, they look sort of, other than the cocoa here, the unsweetened cocoa powder, it looks sort of pretty tame as far as in color. But where they get, red velvet cupcakes is going to be in the food coloring. I've got red food coloring here that we're going to be adding to it. The other ingredients, I'm using almond flour this time around. Usually I use hazelnut flour, but I'm going to use the almond flour. I'm using a sweetener, which isn't sugar. It's Swerve, which is a low-carb sweetener. It doesn't raise the blood sugar levels very high. I said cocoa powder. I got some baking powder as well, 5 eggs, sour cream, and water, along with vanilla extract. So with that, we're going to start making some delicious cupcakes. So what I'm going to do is start working on combining my wet ingredients. So we're going to start that right now. All right, I got my eggs cracked. I'm using 5 eggs for this dish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start beating the eggs until they are frothy. Okay, I got the eggs. As you can see, it's all foamy and frothy right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add in my water. Use about a 1/4 cup of water. I'm going to add in 1/2 cup of full-fat sour cream. That's important. You need that for that taste, the red velvet taste. I'm just going to do that. And then I'm going to add in a tablespoon of vanilla extract. This is, again, great for flavor. There we go, got that. Now comes the fun part, the food coloring. With food coloring, you have to be really careful when you're using it. It stains. Just taking off the little protective seal on this, I got a little red on my finger. For food coloring, for this recipe, you want about 12 drops. What that translates into is about 1/8 of a teaspoon. A 1/4 teaspoon is about 25 drops for this. So what you want to do is you want to be as careful as possible. This one does have a dropper, so that's nice, but I'm just going to use the teaspoon. Oops, there goes a little bit of the red. There we go. So you can see that red color already in there. So what I'm going to do is to put that there, I'm going to grab a paper towel and I'm going to wipe off the top. Because like I said, if you don't seal it properly, or if it falls, it goes all over the place and it starts staining. I had that happen once, and I will never do that again. I learned my lesson. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to start mixing all the ingredients together carefully. You want that sour cream to get a little smooth. You don't want clumpiness. Just want to mix it well before I get a chance to add it into all of my dry ingredients, and we'll get to those in just a moment. All right, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start on the dry ingredients and mixing all those. So I have my almond flour, about 2½ cups of almond flour. I'm using 3/4 cups of my sweetener. Just add that right in there. I have about a tablespoon of baking powder I'm adding, and then 3 tablespoons of the unsweetened cocoa powder. I use dark chocolate cocoa powder, so don't think milk chocolate cocoa. That's not what you want to use. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and start mixing everything together. And then I'm also breaking up any large chunks I see, as nut flours tend to like to bunch together, I've noticed. Okay. That's why I like using a glass bowl. I can see if there's any. You can see it's gotten really, really dark thanks to the powder, but I use my glass bowl so I can see if I've missed any spots that I haven't really churned. So that covers it pretty much. Now what I'm going to do is combine the wet with the dry and really mix it. What you want to do is make sure when you're mixing it, you see any lumps. I like to take out the bigger lumps. Some of the smaller ones I'm not as worried about. I just want to try to get it as smooth as possible, but it doesn't have to be perfect. There we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get this into my muffin tins. This makes about 8 muffins, so if you have a 12-pan muffin tin, you're not going to use all of them, obviously, or you can use 2 6s. I'm actually only going to use 1 6 cup muffin tin because I don't need that many cupcakes, and I'm just going to make slightly bigger ones than normal. But just so you know, it is for about 8 muffins. I'm going to top this with my buttercream cheese frosting that I'm going to be making after this, and I have a video about the frosting that I'll link to below. But right now I'm going to go ahead, get these poured into my muffin tins, and already greased muffin tins, and load it up in the oven. The oven's already preheated to 350. It's going to sit in the oven for about 30 minutes. We'll see what they look like when they come out, and then I'm going to let them cool for 30 minutes before I start frosting them. All right, the muffins are out. They smell delicious. I think on hindsight, I probably would have added a little bit more food coloring. The brand that I got wasn't as good as I would have liked. It has definitely a red tint to it. There's no doubt about that. But nonetheless, I probably maybe would have thought about half a teaspoon or maybe even a full teaspoon. Nonetheless, they look delicious. I'm going to be making my buttercream frosting. But before I can frost them, the muffins have got to cool. They just came out of the oven. They need to sit for about 30 minutes. Now, I did say that the batter I made makes 8 muffins. I just did 6. So when you're making 8 muffins, you want to fill the cups to about 2/3 of the way. This one, since I added all of my batter just for the 6 muffins I'm making for tonight, I filled them up nearly 3/4 of the way up of the tins. Just so you know that when you do that and make sort of bigger muffins, it's going to take, instead of 30 minutes in the oven, it's probably going to be closer to 40 minutes. Again, just use the old toothpick right in the center to test to make sure it comes out clean, and that's how you know they're done. If you enjoyed the video, and if the muffins look really tasty to you, please go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, and let me know what type of individual desserts you like to make for yourself that's very, very healthy, like these are. In any event, I plan to enjoy these tonight with friends, and I'll see you next time.